I'm Mr. Rosansky, and this is a speed run of practice test 10, the first module, the A module, the medium one, and we'll do it like them all. Head to the first little conventions question, and here we are at question 16. So I immediately see the omega consideration of this possibly being a complete sentence mix-up question. I see my lonely coordinating conjunction, my little space, I see my lonely comma, and then I see the beauty of the comma and the coordinating conjunction. So I'm going to bias this, and if I'm afraid, I'm going to pick this. But when I looked at the sentence, I'm not afraid. I know that I don't have a complete sentence to the left. I have while, which is starting a subordinate clause. It's a subordinating conjunction, and I've got my subject and a verb right here. So even though we have this beauty guy right here, I'm not afraid. I know that this comma has to be there. I did do a pause. So we pick C, and we move on. The next conventions question is one where I'm going to go after that semicolon first. What a beaut. I checked the text to see if there's another semicolon, but there's not another semicolon, therefore there is not a complex list, therefore this and this mean the exact same thing. Then it gets a little bit trickier. For some students, I would just ask, well, do you pause? And we don't pause there, but I can explain a little bit better than that. What I have to the left is a complete sentence. An extra leap second is added. That is a complete sentence on the left. This, whenever, starts a dependent clause. If the dependent clause were first, then the comma would be there. But in the sentence final position after the independent clause, it would be non-restricted to have this comma here. But I need this whenever, and its associated clause over here, to be attached in a restrictive manner to the added, because it is what specifies the conditions under which time is added, because it's just not added always. But that's slightly more complicated. Just go with the pause. I've got another conventions question. I see that this is omega consideration. We're popping possession here. I can go to either side of the possession that I want, because I see we've got this concept and this concept. I'm going to go after this because I know that I have no idea what this word means, right? Maybe it's a playa, and we're talking about some cool gangsters, but that doesn't seem to be the case. I'm dealing with a singular one as directed up here. As I go through, I see that the text doesn't shift focus, so I want a singular one as dictated here, and I have no other option but to choose the possessive one. These two fall because they have plural. Then I'm going to engage with the concept of rocks. Is rocks possessive? When I want to consider if I even want a possessive word or not, as present between B or C, something that I could consider is these two swaps. I could do one, use the preposition of, the mysterious migration of the rocks. I like that, therefore I want possession. Another thing that I can do is just slap a possessive determiner before the word in question. So I could do in their mysterious migration. That I like these both means I do want possession. So I'm going to pick this one and move on. I've got another conventions question. The omega consideration is popping again for this complete sentence. Complete sentence mix-up is present. I've got my lonely little coordinating conjunction. I've got my lonely little comma right there. I've got the beauty of a pick right there, and then there's a space. So I could start looking to see if I have a complete sentence on either side. I absolutely do. This is just some sort of prepositional phrase. Then I've got intensity effects. Subject and a verb, independent clause, complete sentence to the left. As I look to the right side, I've got something crazy going on right here. I do have this as light intensity increases, which is going to be a dependent clause. Then I have my independent clause right here. Then I have another dependent clause here. Finding this as an independent clause would be the tricky thing for most students. I think this is one of those questions that if looked at, it would be very scary. So a student should just default and pick the C. But since I'm here, I'll just explain that this is some sort of correlative conjunction. This kind of like as, so just as, so too, the as, so does. This inversion of subject and auxiliary verb is inspired by this so and this as working together to just create a pretty cool complete sentence on this right side. Additionally, we should know that these are weird because this right side is the exact same idea as the left, and colons are used to exemplify the right from the left. So we have a complete sentence on either side. Additionally, we have the right side exemplifying the left, leads us to C. I've got a conventions question. I see another omega consideration being popped. I've got title, name. Unfortunately, though, I do see that there is a determiner chilling right here at the start. So abandon strat. I'm going to default then to a different concept often assessed by things, which is never separate a subject from its verb with a lone, comma. As I start to investigate this guy's pretty beautiful. This comma right here separating the were from paintings. And that's unacceptable. This is doing the exact same thing in a different spot. These two things fall, then we were just interacting with the colon. A requirement to use a colon is a complete sentence to the left. We've got no complete sentence to the left. This falls. B is my choice. Pick it and move on. Now we're into the transition questions. I'm going to look to the left. I've got cosmic ray. Oh, look, there's a little name, title, no determiner. Notice that there's nothing there. He noted this thing indicating that a massive burst reached Earth. This unprecedented was named this thing. I want some sort of cause and effect here. I like fittingly. Similarly, it's not the same. It seems to be a result of the first. There's no contrast, and we're not restating the first. Fittingly is going to be our pick. I look to the left. I see this colon, which is exemplifying the thing to the the colon, the thing on the right of the colon exemplifies the thing to the left. This is exemplifying the lost badliness of John F. Kennedy boy. Then I look to the right side. The debate was ultimately considered a victory. I've got some sort of contrast, even though the suggestion was that he lost. He eventually won. I'm going to go with my nevertheless as my contrast here. For this one, we've got another name title, nothing, no comma here because there's no the. Name title, he challenged the prevailing views. Then we've got he argued that instead of being this seems to be a demonstration of the way in which, the specific way in which he argued. It's not similarly because it's the same. Finally, there's no first, therefore, no cause, no effect, just a specifically. I want to know where this word jumps out at me immediately. We've got where it was found right here. This is just that they found it. It doesn't really tell us where. This is making the statement, but it's relying on us doing legwork to figure out the where for this one. Then this just says that it's an old fossil. I'm going to double check to make sure that this fact is true, and it is true and beautiful. A is gorgeous. I want to specify the reason the appearance changed. This is asking for why. Be very careful. I want an answer that gives me the why. As I read this, describe this, which was described as having. This describes the name, but not necessarily that the notion of the appearance changing, so it falls. Although it was once referred to as this, it appears to have only 6 stars today. This gives us that. B only does that it changed, but I want that why, so B falls. In the time since ancient culture described it as having 7 stars, they move so close, this gives me the why. They move so close together that they now appear as 1. This gives me the why it changed, and I absolutely love that idea that's present there. As I look to D, it has 7 stars, but are so close to that they appear. This would just justify, again, kind of why it would be named the way that it was, but it doesn't give me why it changed. D falls. C is a gorgeous answer, so I move on. I want to emphasize the significance of the discovery. The discovery proved critical. I love that as a significant words to describing the code, leading to a better understanding. This is perfect. I love A, but I'll keep reading. He found this thing. He thought that it could do this thing. Not as impactful as this, but I'm not going to kill it because maybe A is making some sort of lie. As I read C, he discovered the enzyme which is involved in both the creation and degradation of this. This doesn't emphasize the significance, but maybe it is. Through his discovery, it was deciphering. This shows that he was dunked on, right? This would be a failure of a statement. This would be minimizing his discovery. So this would fall. As I read this, I kind of get an understanding of the potentiality of what B is saying that makes it wrong. That he hypothesized that it did this thing and kind of ended up finding that it was wrong. Doesn't really do a great job in this understanding, and C falls for a similar reason. A gets my pick. I've got 2 demands in this. I want to specify a decline in the unique apple varieties, and furthermore, additionally, moreover, I want to specify why this decline occurred. We've got this Apple product, this Apple project trying to find some of the apple varieties lost following a shift. It does a nice job here, but it doesn't emphasize the decline. Some is very diminutive of that. While over 14,000 were grown in the late 1890s, only 15. This is great on emphasizing the decline, but it doesn't specify why. B falls. Since the rise of industrial agriculture gives me the why, mainly grown a few, resulting in thousands. C is absolutely gorgeous. D is gross because though it gives us the why, it shifts the focus from apple varieties to all crops, and that's not what I want. Back to question 1. This beaut again. This colon is going to be my signal element, pushes me forward to over 90%, which is a whole Tunerino Buncherino widespread. As I look to number 2, I'm going to find my and thus are objects of heated debate, interpret. I don't know if it would be compose because we're dealing with the other signal element due to them being pretty darn complicated. Interpret's going to be it. As I skim for another one, I've got this, which is going to kick me back 1. continuously worked. I can probably engage with my words. Persistent is going to be my beautiful choice for this one. I've got another, this creates, bounce me back a sentence, slow downs the current. We like that. Tranquil's got to be it. It slowed it down. It's not going to be this. It's not imaginative and it's not surprising. Tranquil, calm, beautiful. I look to this one. This colon is going to obviously give me my explanation as to how to define this word. No direct bearing. I go for my answers, and irrelevant would be no direct bearing. I got a main purpose of the text. I'm going to start with the end and work backwards so I don't get confused by anything. Jazz influenced jazz tap in its change being jazz tap changed a bunch. So now I'm going to go back a sentence. As jazz music continued to develop, both jazz and jazz tap evolved. I'll go back another sentence. This seems to be a focus on these two things and their interaction with each other. Tap dancers were inspired by, this just speaks to the previous sentence. I'm not even going to type it. And then when I read the first one, it's just all of the same thing. Explain why audience prefers some kinds of music over the others. Doesn't tell us that, right? You might have a disdain or love for jazz, but don't let that influence the text here. Discusses the development, absolutely. It does not speak to how to play. That's a different genre entirely. I wish I could jazz it up, though. It emphasized the popularity of a famous dancer. No, thank you. I don't even know where we would get that from. Maybe an earlier sentence. Main purpose of the text, when it's giving me a little story like this, I don't have the same luxury of jumping to the end. I just find that that doesn't work. So I'll start at the start, which is a natural place to start. We mean nothing but a little amusement among ourselves. Girls just want to have fun. We just want to have fun and change with a new activity. Seems to be a summary for this first sentence. We want no smoke. We want no recognition. I'm on the third sentence. We may be trusted, I think, in choosing to play. It'll be boring. It will be boring. Chill is a better word to match this. And I can see no greater harm or danger any of us conversing in any elegant. This won't hurt the world, is what he's saying with this final sentence. So I can start engaging with this. It'll be safe. To offer Tom's assurance that the play will be inoffensive, this is perfect. This and is a signal element. This, I think, as another signal element, this weird placement here. It aligns with my details, and I love A, but I'll keep looking. To clarify that the play will not be performed in the manner, no, he's kind of promising that it will be performed exactly how he says it's going to be performed. To elaborate on the idea that the people around Tom lack the skills, shots fired, but I have no evidence for that, though it could be true. To assert that Tom leads the group, no, we're not going to promote it. That disagrees with one of my sentential summaries. Both authors would agree with the statement. This is rare. Normally, two is responding or agreeing with something from one. I'll just kind of stick with the classic way of reading two first when I'm given this weird choice of both. Impressionist painters often focus on color and light. So in frames, they avoided gold because the frame color should harmonize. Gold, conversely, not attack. It would distract. That's going to be my text too, and I like my understanding of this. Since I'm agreeing with both, I can kind of read these to frame myself and not get overwhelmed, since it's a general statement about all of these. Gold frames were considered especially desirable by those who purchased works from Impressionist painters. I don't like this one. I don't know where we would get that from text too. The colors were often chosen. I like this one, but I'm not going to pick it and move on because I still have to engage with text one. Many Impressionists were intentional. I like both of these, right? This is narrow, this is broad. We'll see what happens in the last one. The preferred framing style was different than that of most Impressionist painters. Though I don't have a statement about him, it could be true if he liked gold. So let's read text one. I'm going to give this a little highlighty poo and give it a read. As we focus on this first one, Deos wanted original frames. Like most, he used painted, so this defaults immediately in this moment. He used painted frames, not gold. We keep reading promoted tradition by the person. IPs chose to break from conventions. So this is a different justification. We had harmony versus, well, we just want to be a little different edgelords, and I support that tremendously with our visual artists. Go for it. So looking at the answers, one of these was too narrow. All we have is the notion of intentionality. We want it to be different, or we didn't want to conflict with the colors of the painting. Both of these are absolutely perfect. we want to describe an approach to art. Approach to art. So this is going to be a detailed question, but we have to read a lot because it's kind of vague. Used by boxers into art by decorating them with beadwork, right? These elements include fringe and jingles and metal cones over the worst dance of the people. Therefore, combines an object commonly associated with masculinity with art forms traditionally practiced by women in most native communities. In this way, what a juicy little signal element, he rejects the division of male and female gender roles. So I didn't really have an explicit statement that screams to me. I'll read these. He draws from, this is absolutely a true statement. He's been influenced by these statements equally. I don't see that statement in the text. He pulls from both, but this statement of equality within the divines, within the disciplines I'd have to find. He finds inspiration from boxing. ANC kind of feel chill. He rejects expectation. There's nothing to support this concept. Expectation when incorporating beadwork. I don't have anything about that, right? He's adhering to his culture's practice. So between these two, I'm in a minor pickle. I've got details to support both of them. But when I look at these two, especially in this exact region, I see an absolute affinity for A. The punching bag was merely the discipline of masculinity. It was subsumed under masculinity. He finds inspiration like from masculinity in designing the dresses he makes. A aligns with this because it's this one. So this would have too narrow of a scope. We don't have evidence to support that it was all of boxing always. Main idea of the text, let's go to the last sentence, do a little summary and start working backwards. The effect, I don't know what the effect is, but doing this is weird, but dope. Colon, this dude says he became healthier. Healthier. Awesome. Let's go back a sentence so we can start understanding what it is. A kitchen counter is chest high on one side and knee high. Okay, zany, weirdo, unusual construction. I guess construction is going to be my sentence for that one. We'll go back a sentence. And that starts at the start, believing that living in an impractical state, impracticality, impractical space can help. So dudes designed one. And that's going to be the main idea as present. Although inhabiting homes surrounded by fanciful features, it is unsustainable. Nothing about this was unsustainable. The person was there for 4 years. Designing disorienting space like those in the building is the most effective way to create a physically stimulating environment. This does not have such an intense claim. It's merely saying that this place did have some significant health benefits, but it's not making the reach that B seems to imply. As a filmmaker, this person has long supported the designs of conceptual artists. So the long supported we do have for the 4 years here, but we don't have the notion of designs. We just have the one, and then the awkwardness of like as a filmmaker, as if that's giving him some sort of ethos to make a claim here. I don't understand. He's not making films about it. He was staying in it. Seems awkward. Although impractical, true. The design of the apartment building by them may improve well-being of the building's residents. Absolutely. C falls for D10s or for 10Ds. Absolutely the right answer. We're going to support the team's idea. Let's go looking for an idea. This idea bounces me back one. This idea that the shifting color. So their idea is that changing colors makes just it harder for animals to see. I'm going to support this team idea. Maybe I can go for the questions right here. On average, participants found most of the purple wings and far fewer of the iridescent wings. I know that iridescent means changing colors, but I want to make sure that participants are technically animals. Just I did see, but beautiful rings on a forest path and asked if humans to look for them. All right, so it's not a little weird mix up there. We want to support the team's idea that changing colors makes it hard to see. So if they found the purple and blue wings, far fewer, that does show that the iridescent wings are sneaky, and I like that. A is pretty beautiful. On average, participants found the iridescent wings faster than they found the purple or blue wings. Nope, this would hurt. That would weaken the team's idea. Some participants supported that the purple wings were easier to see than the blue wings. I just want to make sure my concept of what iridescent means is strong, so I'm looking for a definition there. Some of the wings were naturally iridescent, others were painted purple and blue. I know that this is wrong. Some participants found all this would just destroy their idea as well. Either no effect or this. A is going to be the right answer. I'm trying to illustrate some sort of claim here. What's my claim? What's my claim? The character sees past the limit of his own, that they're carefree even when engaged or work or chores. I see you don't wish to stop. I don't care to stay here either. This is grumpy. We want people to be carefree and having fun. Oh, flower gathering. That is why your feet so. This is very positive. We want anklets jingling somewhere as you walk. This seems that they're having fun with the chore. I'll pay when I grow up. Before I leave to work on the other side of the stream there. This seems like he's robbing people. Wish I could be out too. Then I would pick some flowers for you. Seems like he's throwing down game. This aligns with the task at hand. I want to weaken the student's conclusion. We want to be careful about that. What's the conclusion? The conclusion's over here. The conclusion is the reduction in the spider population count in the enclosure. Spiders with lizards went down by day 30 entirely because the lizards were there. I want to weaken this, and I feel really good about this. The chart is accessible, so I can start engaging with these. The spider population count was the same. First, I'm going to check for truths. The spider population count was the same in both English. That's true. A is going to be our answer so far. The spider population count also substantially declined by day 30 in the enclosure without lizards. So I do have a huge decline with lizards, and I do have a huge decline. It seems like more than half. This is true. So I'm going to make sure that I understand my summary, or I'm going to go digging by eliminating one of them right now. A is absolutely trash. This is just that there was a good study. They started in the same spot. We would want that in order to have a comfortable control. C, the largest decline is what I could give 1 to 10. 1 to 10, that is true, but I'm trying to show this notion of entirely because of lizards being there. I don't know what the first 9 days would matter for this. So, whoops, C falls, B still our most attractive answer. I'm going to move on to D. The spider population count on day 30 was lower in the enclosure with lizards, true, than in the enclosure without lizards. That's true, and D is so tempting. Both speak to truths, and I could rationalize how somebody would talk themselves into D being the right answer. But what you want to do after you've done this process, you've summarized your sentence, you've gone looking for liars, you've confirmed things on the graph. All of these steps have to be done. Then, once you do that, then you ignore the chart. B is the right answer because D allows for some sort of ambiguity. In this stage, the choice needs to describe something that weakens the conclusion. And D allows for a possibility of like, what if the no lizards column had not gone down? Then this statement would be absolutely vacuous and even possibly support it. Unambiguously, does B support this notion that both of them sucked? It was something other than the lizards. The student is a dumb student. Something else happened. B is going to be the right answer. If you feel like something fits under the umbrella of the other one, just pick the other one. It's going to be a concept we hear a lot here. We're on our final two, logically completes the text. Let's look to this final sentence. Do a little summary, Pooh. The researchers suggest that new repellents should. I'm going to go back a sentence because I've got that comma there, because this, and start developing my idea here. I read this sentence and it starts way the heck up here. So because EBF repels squeedos with just one receptor that is present in all squeedos, new repellents should. All right, new repellents should what? Because EBF repels squeedos with just one receptor that is present in all squeedos, new repellents should. Let's go for these answers. I feel like I've got enough to go for it. Identify molecular components similar to EBF that target the activation. This seems gorgeous. Because it's really good at bodying them, new repellents should body them similarly. When I read B, investigate alternative methods for extracting EBF molecules. I feel like both of these are chill. I want to understand a difference and eliminate one of these, similar to that last graph question before I move forward so I don't get overwhelmed. Identify molecular methods similar to EBF that target the activation of OR31 receptors. Investigate. So do we want similar or more of the same? And then I'm going to go looking for an answer. I've already started reading here. Insects develop resistance. New repellents in order to avoid resistance should. No viva la resistance. So B false. We don't want more EBF because EBF might lose the special thing. We want other ones that are very special that can target just this one thing and get those squeetos out of here. This A is gorgeous. I'll read the other ones. Verify the precise locations and other odor receptors. No, we don't need to know others. We just know this one, and I think we already know where it is because it's already doing its job. See, would it make any sense? Determine the maximum number of, no. From a single molecule, no. We already have that they just do one. I don't want to overload it. There was something charming about EBFs doing it in one. And our final one of these questions, I can look to the consequently, and it's going to bounce it back one sentence and start developing it here. I will set up my framing of because nerds engineer DNA of the plants to stop reproduction, or to limit is a better word, reproduction. We want to exclusively target. Because nerds to limit reproduction, then I can go for my answers. If something dangerous happens, I'm going to pop back some, making individual plants more susceptible. No, they're just going to reproduce less. Maybe if they reproduce less, I can kind of like talk myself into this one. Enhancing the benefits of this thing. No, if we're inhibiting reproduction, there would be less of them. We're not making them more beneficial. There is an overall benefit, but not from them, right? If you have cancer and you're reducing your cancer cells, you're not making the cancer beneficial. You just have less of the problem. Enable capitals to consume without becoming, no, there's just going to be fewer of them, and reducing the numbers without harming other. Yeah, we're going to reduce the numbers. Absolutely. They're not going to reproduce. The number of them are going to go down. This is gorgeous. A was a little bit tempting, so I'm going to look around. But that approach can also, yeah, D is absolutely the right answer. This previous statement absolutely confirms it. 15 is D, no cap. Ooh, that went smooth. That went smooth, to quote Lord. We're getting good at this. GG.